Hey YouTube, welcome back. In this week's video, I want to teach you how you can multiply and make millions this year in 3 steps. So make sure you stay till the end. Okay, first of all, you want to have a vision. Where do you want to be in 1 year? A lot of people are very clear on what they don't want, but they're not very clear on what you do want. The Bible even says, have a vision and write it down. And the people without a vision will perish. Do you know what perish means? That means die. So what is your vision? What is your target? Narrow it down to 3 pinpoints, 3 targets. Where do you want to be in 1 year from now? Okay, now that you have that, what we want to do now is this. Understand that your future self, who you're becoming, is made up of 3 things. The stories you're telling yourself, the standards that you're currently holding, as well as the boundaries. So let's get into this. Right now, your future self has an entirely different set of boundary standards and stories than what you currently have. Because if you actually had and you were holding what you want in the future, you would be totally different, and your standards and stories and boundaries would be different. So there's a lack of congruence between where you are now and where you want to go. So what you want to do is you want to get clear on what are the boundaries that you need to put in place. So that you, a future you, what do you want to have? Let's say you want to be a New York Times bestseller. Maybe you want to be a multi-millionaire coach, or maybe you want to be a platform speaker or a TED Talk speaker. So you have to ask yourself, me as a TED Talk speaker, platform speaker, making millions over the weekend as a coach, doing your own events, what would I be doing daily? What would I be doing and what would I not be doing? Example, if you want to be a TED Talk speaker, you need to be communicating. Maybe you're doing a webinar every single day or every single week, or you're producing video content instead of scrolling social media. Maybe you are actually becoming a producer instead of a taker. Maybe a creator instead of a taker. Maybe instead of a scroller, you're actually becoming a creator. So that's what you're doing. So here's what you're going to do. I was at a soccer game last weekend and I saw this little 3-year-old, and the mama was like, see this white line, honey? This white line right here? You cannot go past this white line. And all of a sudden the 3-year-old lost her marbles and had to be escorted out of the soccer game because she was losing her marbles. She wanted it in that game and she wanted to be with her big sister. Even though the mom was like, you just can't go past here, but you can play all the way around here. And it reminded me of entrepreneurs, because a lot of us get caught in this magical thinking of thinking that I want what I want and I want it now, and you're not getting real to get results. So what you're going to do is you're going to come up with like 3 to 10 new boundaries and standards you're going to have for yourself. Let's say you want to be a speaker. You're going to write down, my new boundary is every single day I work on my talk. Every single day I am practicing communication and I'm working on epigrams and ways to communicate for an hour every single day. Okay? Maybe you want to lose 20 pounds. What would you be doing at that next level? So identify your boundary. Then you're going to figure out what is the freedom. If you were to be that speaker, to be that person who has this boundary, what would be the freedom? What would be the absolute promised land? The outcome of you honoring your boundary. So let's say you want to be a speaker. Let's say now you're getting booked on stages. You're getting paid $25,000 a talk. You just got a viral TED Talk. That would be the freedom. You are now sold out. You're enrolling your clients and you're making millions. That is the freedom. Now we have the freedom. We want to know what that freedom is. What's over here? What can we play with? Now the third part is, everybody say number 3. Third part is, what is the consequence? What is the consequence if you do not do this? If you do not hold your boundary? What is the painful pit? What is the bad side, the dark side if you don't do this? Maybe it means that you're living in your parents' basement for the rest of your life, or you have to sell your house and move back to your parents. Or maybe you have to move out of the big city and you got to go to a rural town, or your husband will leave you, or you will hit bankruptcy, or you will feel defeated. Did you know that the definition of hell is the person you could have become meets the person you became? That's the definition of hell. And you see what you could have done. So you might die with regret, unfulfillment, feeling like, I knew I had this in me, but I didn't show up and I didn't do it. So if you actually come up with these new boundaries, you honor your boundaries, you hold that line, you understand the freedom of the possibility, and you understand the consequence. And some people are pulled by consequence of like avoid, I want to avoid. And some people are pulled by pleasure of that freedom. Put in the comments, what are you pulled by? I'm personally more pulled by the consequence than I am the possibility. I am, if I'm real with myself, if I release the magical thinking error and I realize if I don't do this, this is what's going to happen. It helps wake me up into reality and helps me actually hold the boundary. Now, what you're going to do now is you're going to identify these. Now, a couple more examples I'm going to give you what I did. So I found that I was a scroller. I was more of a scroller before I was a creator. So I put a boundary in place that I will not check social media until 1 p.m. and I will shut it off at 7 p.m. every day. And now I don't even really want to watch it because I'm in such a productive mode. So that's one boundary. The second boundary I put in place is I am not eating chocolate chips or crackers or croissants, muffins, carby things, because they give me a headache, they make me feel fat, they make me feel bloated, they make me feel low energy, and then I beat myself up. And so I'm just cutting those out. That's a boundary. I just don't have those anymore. And the other one I have in place is I am doing 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, 50 squats a day, because I know my identity of where I'm going. I'm a fit, lean, loving, money-making machine. All right, so figure out what are your boundaries, what are your consequences, and what are your freedoms. Put them in. I was vulnerable with you guys. This is a community. Be vulnerable. Put it in the comments. What are 3 boundaries you're going to lock in? I would get your journal and I would spend some quality time in your journal writing this out. There is freedom on the other side. Boundaries keep you safe. So everything that you want, the freedom you want, the family you want, the money you want, the impact you want is on the other side of you holding these boundaries. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in next week's video.